Hey y'all. Change the look up on you today. No, I'm gonna go for the professorial look now. Does it make it a little easier? Clarence, fantastic following video. And since we're on the continuation of what I think Jake set out, let's talk quarterbacks. I agree. We've had the conversation there. I think the term game manager is weirdly used, right? So I'd like to change that term maybe to a field marshal, in terms of or our battle commander, right? You know, what a battle commander is. You guys in the military know they look at different troops, they place them in action where they go. They're limited. They're not like the big 4-star guy, but they're actually in the action. Does that make sense? That would be a group commander, if you want to call them in an Air Force term or Army. But check these names out: Joe Montana, Kenny Anderson. Let's see who else. John Elway, last part of his career. Tom Brady, for quite a bit of his career. Drew Brees when he won, and Peyton Manning when he won. I'll throw Philip Rivers in there. Big Ben, right? So there's multiple things. So what they all have in common? These are really great examples of a game manager. Okay, now there's intangibles. I mean, I'm not arguing that. I don't think you are either, Clarence. You're pretty clear. Matt has incredible leadership qualities, and he has maybe an intangible that maybe does separate him from say, like you said, Fitzpatrick, who is, in my opinion, a top 12, top 15 quarterback. But I'm gonna take the definition a little further because I'm a big Walsh fan. And Bill Walsh's book, when he's autobiographies, he talks about what he found in Montana. He actually spelled out what a game manager was. Intelligent. Doesn't have to be big. Has to be just mobile enough to get away. Has to have great field vision, awareness, and has to have leadership qualities. And the people we're talking about, and we're talking statistical giants in general, by the way, right? The thing you see in common with them is when they win, what do? They manage the game. Peyton got his rings. Peyton Manning, for example, his rings. When did they happen? Joseph Adai, right? Did he still get good stats? Yeah, but he had a running game. He had the supporting cast. He had the defense. Back to your point. Brady, I love Brady, the GOAT, but he's had some hell of a teams, right? Let's just get it out of here. He's had some hell of teams, right? Doesn't discount what he's done, but hell of teams. I mean, you could keep going down to Montana. I mean, go back old school. Joe Montana has some hella teams. Montana probably one of the weakest arms that actually made the Hall of Fame ever. I'll give you an example of a guy with great, extraordinary talent, by the way, who nearly pissed it all the way. But when he became a game manager, by your definition, Clarence, that was Jim Plunkett, number 1 overall pick, 1971 at Stanford, right? Got New England, Boston Patriots, sucked like gas, bounced around at 49ers, couldn't do nothing. Ends up with Tom Flores up in Oakland. What do they do? Hand off the ball to Mark Van Egan. Solid defense. I know you love that defense, brother. I know you love it. So y'all got me excited again. So we're talking about defense and Raider black and silver hitting like a mofo. But the point is, when that very strong arm, exceptionally talented individual was in a game manager role surrounded, how did he end up doing? Well, he won 2 Super Bowls. Let's go to a similar player. I believe it's the same draft. I have to check, but I think it may have been the same draft. Was Archie Manning, right? Exceptional talent for the time, right? Exceptional. Not one time was he ever in that game manager role. Whether you think he's overrated because of injuries, how did Archie's career end up being? You know, while you bullshit, Eli Manning. What was Eli Manning in his years that he won? Game manager. So I like that you're taking these terms, and I like staying on these, what we're talking about, because it really does matter. So I'm going to take the term game manager. I think for you guys, what I'd like to challenge, I don't think it's a game manager. I think it's a field marshal, or it's a battle, a group commander, right? So, yeah, my perfect quarterback overall, I mean, I find guys exciting, but I'll give you an example. How's Mahomes doing now that he's really putting the pressure on himself? It's not as good anymore, right? It's really incredibly hard to do it by yourself. There's some elite talents. I mean, so let's take Matt out of that. I mean, look at Matt. You look at Tom Brady. And I'm not comparing them Super Bowl. But let's just go statistically. You look at Drew Brees, and Drew Brees definitely played within the system, and he won the Super Bowl win. They had a great running attack, right? Running game, multiple wide receivers that can hold on the ball, team player types, and a great defense, right? Again, back to your game manager. When he's throwing 5,800 yards, 6,000 yards, they're 7-9 3 years, I think it was. And even toward the end, when his stats were coming down and leveling out, and he was game managing, they started knocking on the door. So when you look back at the Hall of Fame, when you start talking about the top 5 folks in here, let's just kind of get the top 5 out there. Marino, not a game manager, elite arm talent, no Super Bowls, right? He carried the Dolphins to murder, but overall it was mediocrity, right? It really was. Elway, we all know about his struggles. He willed them in his early years with exceptional underworldly talent, but he couldn't close the deal. It was humiliating, those Super Bowls for you youngsters, by the way. If you aren't old enough to watch it, I'd challenge you to go back and watch Elway's first 3. At Vandy, you talk all the time about it. What happened? And Vandy brings us all the time. You get a TD, Terrell Davis. You get a defense. You get the right receivers. What happens? 2 in a row. Aaron fucking Rodgers. Yeah, extreme talent, right? Has he won shit since he hasn't had that great all-around game management team? Not as much. He won MVP last year, exceptionally playing with him. But, I mean, so in and out, Clarence, I'm glad you brought it. I don't think it's a bad thing. But I'll put Matt in this category, and I do understand quarterbacks. For one, professionally, I'm very much a quarterback. 2, remember earlier we were talking about point guard. I was a point guard in basketball. And I think the things that you find in common, the point guard and quarterback, game manager, field general, set things up, see the field. Matt, overall, still a Hall of Fame quarterback for me. Doesn't even need a ring at this point, in my opinion. I mean, statistically, he's going to be good enough. He's got the MVP. Obviously, a ring's icing on the cake. So, Matt, you're probably looking in the scheme of things, an overall top 10, top 15 overall great quarterback. I think we'll look back at him with fondness more when the years are done. You'll see the kind of greatness. I do agree with you, except for one point. I don't know if I disagree, but just some point. I don't think necessarily any QB is that great without the right weaponry around him. And I'll use example Warren Moon, probably my favorite quarterback of all time, talent-wise, right? Man, they gave him shit talent. I mean, you know that. He won up in Canada, obviously, several great cuts, but Moon couldn't sniff the playoffs hardly. You remember that? I mean, why? Just no supporting cast. And Moon was, honestly, anybody in youngsters haven't watched him, I know Vandy, Cog, Warren Moon may have been one of the most sublime talents we've ever seen in a century. I mean, he was that great ability. What he win? Nothing. So, to your point, I'm glad you brought up game manager. To me, I think the point guard's a thing. But again, I think it's the field commander. It's the ability to look, to see, to move. I agree on the running game. I think we definitely buried the fucking wide receiver to death. Defense, bro. I know I called out another video. Got a lot of videos going back and forth. But I'm going to put this right at you, Cog, Okay, bro. Limited budget, Watch the video before this. Get your bread, yo, right? I mean, who do you find? I mean, reality, you got to add capability this year to try to get you over the hump. So, be it wide receiver, be it a guard, be it tight end, be it whatever it is available, in my opinion, if you're going to win, you got to make some move on it. OBJ is a non-factor. So do you sit still and roll what you got? You want to get something on defense? What are you going to go do? What's it worth to you? Give me a scenario. Since one of the topics of this, I like this subject, by the way. Anyone of you guys want to actually talk about maybe some throwback days? Let's take it back to the old school quarterbacks and talk a little bit and talk about the old school systems. And the reason why I brought this up was, I think, Clarence, you had a great point about how the NFL's evolved. How do we look at those that played back then now, and how will we look at, say, Matt and them guys that going forward? So anyway, recap. I'm with you in agreement. Game manager's not a bad term. It's not a bad term at all. It just, in fact, I think even the most elite, athletically gifted people should be a game manager somewhat to win Super Bowls. I mean, that seems to be a proven formula. Mike, very own Mike Vick didn't win shit. Again, did it do all right? Not really. He couldn't manage the game. So let's And on that note, hey, see, great thing. Again, you're saving my shoulder. Look, I cleaned up a little, got a ponytail thing going on. Look a little more college professional. I haven't cussed like 8 times. Jed, man, I'm dying to see a video for you or 007. By the way, 007. Definitely rock out all 22, buddy. And again, I asked you guys a question before. What do? You know, how do you fix these holes? I asked you in the previous video. Come back at me. Give me some answers. Let's keep it going, bro. Till we get our podcast. This is Gucci out. Dungeon. Keep on rocking. Having fun. Bye, y'all.